The Environment Secretary, Michael Gove, joins us. Mr. Gove, here in the Seychelles, they have a marine protected area that really works, plentiful fish, healthy coral, real biodiversity. Why can't we do more in Britain?
I think we do need to do more, not just in Britain, but worldwide. And that's why the UK is one of those countries that's committed to making sure that 30% of the world's oceans are fully protected by 2030. And we made a big step forward last week when we committed to safeguarding the waters around Ascension Island, which is one of Britain's overseas territories. So we're expanding that blue belt of marine protected areas. And around our own shores as well, we have a network of marine protected areas. But one of the things that I'm reviewing is how effective the protection is, because there are many good people who argue that we do need to step up the level of protection in some of those MPAs.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very fair argument, isn't it? Here in the Seychelles, 15% of their waters are protected. It'll be 30% in a year or two. In Britain, it's, what, sort of 4 or 5 square miles?
Well, there's a variation of the level of protection around the UK, but we are reviewing exactly how we can improve the protection of marine life and biodiversity. But it is also the case that because of Britain's history and legacy, that there are islands across the globe for which Britain is responsible, and we've extended marine protected areas around those. So it's not just Ascension Island, but Tristan Cunha, right, yeah, and Pitcairn and others are all parts of a blue belt of protected areas. And that means that the UK now is, I think, the only country in the world where 30% of the waters under its control are now fully protected or about to be fully protected.
Yes, but in the UK, I'm talking about the Blue Belt. In a number of areas in the Blue Belt, there's still commercial fishing, there is still dredging in Goodwin Sands to, extend the port in Dover. This is not really a protected area, is it?
Well, some areas do need better protection. You're absolutely right. Now, of course, it's the case that in some marine protected areas, fishing of a particular kind will continue. So in a protected area, you're not necessarily getting rid of all economic activity, but we do need to review how extensive the protections are, and a number of people have made some very fair points about the need to make sure that we provide the highest possible level of protection in all the waters that we control. And I'm very sympathetic to that argument.
So sympathetic to it, can you guarantee that Britain will have more proper protected marine areas, and soon?
Yes, well, we are already, as I say, making sure that more and more of the waters that we control are fully protected. I am reviewing the evidence, and we'll be saying more about the steps that we propose to take in order to ensure that we can have the highest level possible of protection so that we can replenish our seas and make sure that they're teeming with the fish and the wildlife that you can observe and enjoy in the Indian Ocean.
Yeah, okay, and on the beaches behind me here of Aldabra, there is still tons of plastic being washed up. So plastic remains a real issue. Shouldn't Britain be doing more, like, a plastic bottle deposit scheme that seems to be working so well in the rest of Europe, for instance?
Yes, there's a lot more that we could do and should do. That's why we're consulting on how a deposit scheme would work. It's why we're extending the tax or the charge on plastic bags. It's also why the Chancellor's consulting on a new tax that means that if you've got a plastic bottle and it doesn't have an appropriate amount of recycled plastic in it, then you pay more. And already it's the case that as a government we've taken steps to ban the plastic microbeads that can cause so much damage in the marine environment. And we're also looking to end the use of plastic straws, stirrers and cotton buds, which can have a uniquely damaging impact on marine wildlife.
Yeah, but you seem to be consulting on a lot of things. You keep saying sympathetic about doing things. Why don't you just get on with it and do it? Because delaying is causing severe damage or contributing to the severe damage in the oceans.
It's one of the things in government that whenever a new idea is put forward, you always have to consult to make sure that it works well and lands appropriately. If you rush ahead with laws without consultation, then you can sometimes find that you've identified the problem but not got the perfect solution. But certainly in the year or so since I've been Environment Secretary, the Prime Minister has been clear that we want to go further than many other countries. We've gone further than the European Union in some of the bans and restrictions on plastic that we have. And I think we've gone further than any other developed nation in the amount of, or the range of ocean under our control that is now fully protected.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, what needs more consultation about a bottle deposit scheme? It works in Scandinavian countries, it works in Germany. Their recycling rates are significantly higher.
Yes, and that's one of the reasons why we're also going to move towards a different form of recycling. We have a problem in this country in that we have a patchwork quilt of different types of recycling, and we also don't have effective recycling of food waste. We've put forward plans to improve that and to use some of the money that would be gained from a plastic tax in order to ensure that we can have uniform recycling. The situation in the past has not been good enough, and that's why we're taking action now.
All right, and on climate change more broadly, isn't it clear that more needs to be done? I mean, you've got school children walking out of class to protest the lack of action by the government in Britain, by you.
Yes, I sympathise with those children who have brought home to all of us, to my generation, how much more needs to be done to tackle the problem of climate change. I should say that I don't approve of children taking time out of school for any reason, but I do think that the passion that drives them is admirable. Now, there are some things that the UK has done. Of all the world's developed countries, we're the one that's done most to cut our own carbon emissions over the last 10 years or so. But we need to look at how we farm, how we produce energy, how we produce concrete and steel, in order to ensure that we're doing everything to take carbon out of our economy and to help to avert the increase in global temperatures that's causing such environmental damage.
Then why are you sending out mixed messages by cutting subsidies for solar and cutting subsidies for electric cars? Why are you doing that?
I don't think we are sending out mixed messages. I mean, we are a world leader when it comes, for example, to global offshore wind. And I think that overall what we have seen is the UK's economy grow, but grow in a way which has also enabled us to reduce carbon emissions. There is more that we can do, but in order to ensure that we can make the changes that we need to urban transport, to construction, to agriculture, and to all these other areas, we need to have the scientific research and investment that this government has been backing, not least when it comes to battery technology, and of course the operation of ultra-low emission vehicles, in other words, electric cars.
Yeah, but I go back to the point of electric cars. Why cut subsidies if you want more people in electric cars?
Well, we're I think one of the first countries to say that the internal combustion engine should be banned. You know, no more petrol or diesel cars from 2040. And we're investing significantly in battery technology, and we're also placing requirements on new developments to make sure that they have charging facilities. So there are a range of measures. The impression I get as Environment Secretary is that some people think that we're being a little bit, how can I put it, tough on people who drive petrol and diesel cars because of the pace at which we want to make change. But I think we do need to make a change quickly, and that's why we have set these stretching targets.
All right, and one point on the broader issue of 2 degrees, which is the Paris Accord, countries signing up to a limit of 2 degrees. I mean, anywhere near like 2 degrees, scientists now say that coral and coral reefs will die. Coral will die, reefs will disappear. Why isn't Britain pushing now for a limit of 1.5?
Well, Britain wants to host the next sort of follow-up to Paris, the Conference of Parties, when countries come together to discuss climate change. We wanted to do that in 2020. And one of the reasons we want to do that is we want to be even more ambitious in how we tackle the problem of climate change, for precisely the reasons that you mentioned, Mark.
Okay, and I hope you've been seeing the pictures that we've been showing live from 250 meters. I just wonder what you made of them.
Oh, they're breathtaking, and I have to congratulate you and Sky for the work that you've done in order to make sure that all of us are aware of how precious our oceans are and how much we need to do in order to help the fragile ecosystems upon which we all depend survive in the future.
Okay, so next time you'll come down with me.
Well, there are 1 or 2 things at the moment in Westminster that are keeping me busy, but as soon as I can get away, I would love to.